My name is Vanessa Martinez. 3 months ago, I sat in a steakhouse, watching my parents hand my younger sister a $180,000 check for her destination wedding. My father, barely looking up from his steak, turned to me and said, "We spent a fortune raising you. When are you going to start contributing back to this family?" I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just walked out, no goodbyes, no explanations. I blocked their numbers and went completely silent for 12 weeks. They had no idea where I was. They thought I was broke, struggling, maybe even homeless. But last Tuesday, my mother showed up at my door in tears, because she finally discovered what I've been doing behind their backs for the past 4 years. And trust me, she was not prepared for what she found. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and hit subscribe, because soon, I'll tell you exactly how I turned their rejection into something they never saw coming. Something that made that $180,000 seem like pocket change. Tyler is 3 years younger than me, and from the beginning, we were different. He was book smart, got straight A's without trying, won academic competitions, joined debate team. I was the kid who couldn't sit still in class, who learned better by doing things with my hands, who got C's and B's despite studying twice as hard as Tyler ever did. When Tyler got accepted into the gifted program in 4th grade, my parents threw him a celebration dinner. When I made the baseball team that same year, my dad said, "That's nice, son. Just don't let it distract you from your grades." The pattern was set early. Academic achievement was what mattered in our house. Everything else was secondary. My Uncle Frank was different, though. He owned a landscaping company, nothing huge, just him and a couple of employees doing residential yards around Fort Worth. He was my dad's younger brother, and there was always this tension between them. My dad had gone to college, got the white-collar job, the retirement plan, the respect. Uncle Frank had dropped out of community college and started mowing lawns. "Frank's wasting his potential," I heard my dad say more than once. He could have done something with his life. But Uncle Frank seemed happy. He worked outside, built things with his hands, came home tired but satisfied. Starting when I was 12, he'd let me help him on weekends. He taught me about different grass types, soil composition, how to operate equipment, how to design a yard that looked good and made sense. "You got a feel for this, Garrett," he told me one Saturday as we finished installing a flower bed. "Not everyone does. Some people see dirt and grass. You see potential." My parents tolerated my weekend work with Frank, but barely. "It's good exercise," my mom would say. "But don't forget about your homework." High school made the differences between Tyler and me even more obvious. He was valedictorian, National Honor Society, full-ride scholarship offers from multiple universities. I graduated with a 3.1 GPA, played varsity baseball, and had no idea what I wanted to do next. "You should go to community college," my dad said. "Get your basics done, figure out a major, then transfer to a university." But I didn't want to sit in more classrooms. I'd spent 12 years struggling through school, feeling stupid compared to kids like Tyler who just got it. The idea of 4 more years made me want to quit before I even started. What if I worked with Uncle Frank for a while? I suggested at dinner one night. Learn the business, see if it's something I want to do. My father's face went red. "Absolutely not. You're not throwing away your future to mow lawns." "Frank makes decent money," I argued. "Frank scrapes by," my dad corrected. "He's one bad season away from losing everything." "That's not a career, Garrett. That's a job." My mom tried to soften it. "Honey, we just want you to have options. A degree gives you options." So I went to community college. I hated every minute of it. I changed my major 3 times, business, communications, general studies. Nothing clicked. Meanwhile, I kept working with Uncle Frank every weekend and during summers, and that was the only time I felt like I knew what I was doing. Tyler went to UT Austin on a full scholarship, studying computer science. My parents drove down monthly to visit him, posted constantly on Facebook about his achievements, talked about him at every family gathering. I dropped out of community college after 2 years. I'd wasted money on classes I'd failed or barely passed, and I was miserable. The day I told my parents, my dad didn't speak to me for a week. When he finally did, he said, "I'm disappointed. I thought you had more drive than this." Uncle Frank offered me a full-time job. $15 an hour, learning every aspect of the business. I accepted immediately. "You're making a mistake," my dad warned. "In 5 years, you'll regret this." I was 20 years old, working full-time in landscaping, and actually happy. I learned equipment maintenance, customer service, design principles, plant care. Uncle Frank taught me how to bid jobs, manage time, handle difficult clients. "The thing about this work," Uncle Frank said, "is that people will always look down on you. They'll treat you like you're just the lawn guy. But you know what? Their yards look beautiful because of you. You're creating something. Don't ever let anyone make you feel small for that." Tyler graduated at 21 with honors, multiple job offers from tech companies in Austin and Dallas. He chose a startup in Dallas, close to home, making $85,000 a year right out of college. My parents threw him a graduation party that must have cost $10,000. Catered food, open bar, all their friends and business associates. They gave him a new car, a loaded Honda Accord. I wasn't jealous exactly. I was happy for Tyler. But it stung that my parents never acknowledged my work, my growth, my success in a field I actually loved. When I was 23, Uncle Frank had a massive heart attack. He survived, but his doctor said he couldn't handle the physical demands of landscaping anymore. He needed to retire or sell the business. "I want you to buy it," he told me from his hospital bed. "I'll sell it to you for $40,000. That's below market, but you've earned it, kid. You've put in the work." $40,000 might as well have been $1 million. I had maybe $3,000 in savings. I went to my parents. I had a business plan, projections, everything laid out. Uncle Frank's client list was solid, the equipment was in good shape, I just needed capital to make the purchase and cover costs while I transitioned. We sat in their living room, the same living room where years later they'd write Tyler his check. I presented everything, trying to sound professional, confident. My dad listened, then shook his head. "Garrett, we're not investing in a landscaping business. That's too risky. Uncle Frank has steady clients. The business makes money." "Frank barely makes money," my dad corrected. "And that's with years of experience. You're 23. You don't have the maturity to run a business." "Then help me," I pleaded. "This is my chance to actually build something." My mom looked uncomfortable. "Honey, $40,000 is a lot of money. What if it doesn't work out? What if it does?" My dad stood up, signaling the conversation was over. "Our answer is no. If you want to keep working for Frank until he finds a real buyer, fine. But we're not funding this." I left their house feeling crushed. Tyler, sitting at the kitchen table on his laptop, hadn't said a word during the whole conversation. I went to a bank. Then another. Then 3 more. Finally, a small credit union agreed to give me a loan, but I needed a cosigner. Uncle Frank, despite his health issues, signed for me. "I believe in you," he said. "Even if your old man doesn't." I bought the business. Hayes Landscaping became mine at 23 years old, and I was terrified and excited in equal measure. The first year was brutal. I worked 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I did everything myself at first, mowing, edging, trimming, designing, billing. I lived in a tiny apartment and ate ramen most nights to save money. My parents didn't ask about the business. When I saw them at family dinners, they'd ask Tyler about his tech job, his apartment, his dating life. They'd ask me, "Still doing the lawn thing?" "Yeah, still doing the lawn thing." By year 2, I had hired my first employee, Marcus. He was 19, just out of high school, reminded me of myself. Together we handled twice as many clients. By year 3, I had 3 employees and was starting to land commercial contracts, apartment complexes, small office buildings. The money was still tight, but the business was growing. I was proud of what I was building. Tyler, meanwhile, was thriving. He got promoted twice in 3 years. He bought a condo in a trendy Dallas neighborhood. He was dating a lawyer named Bethany who came from old money. My parents loved her. When I was 26, I bid on my first major commercial contract, a new housing development that needed full landscaping for model homes and common areas. The contract was worth $150,000. I spent weeks on the proposal, the design, the bid. I got it. That contract changed everything. It led to 3 more developments. I hired 10 more employees. I bought new equipment. I moved out of my apartment and into a small house. For the first time, I felt like I was actually succeeding. I wanted my parents to see it, to acknowledge it. I invited them to see one of the developments I'd completed. My mom came. My dad was too busy. "This is very nice, honey," my mom said, walking through the landscaped common areas. "You've worked so hard." But there was something in her tone, like she was praising a kid's art project, not a $150,000 commercial contract. "Mom, this is a real business now. We're doing $500,000 in revenue this year." "That's wonderful," she said. "But then, have you thought about going back to school? Maybe getting a business degree? It might help you grow even more." I realized then that it didn't matter what I achieved. To them, I was still just the lawn guy who'd dropped out of college. When I was 27, Tyler quit his job. He'd been working at the startup for 6 years, and he wanted to start his own company. He had an idea for a project management app specifically for creative teams. He needed $200,000 to develop the product, hire a small team, and cover operating costs for the first year. He presented his plan to our parents at Sunday dinner. Unlike my presentation years earlier, this one was received with enthusiasm. "This is exciting," my dad said. "Tech is where the real opportunities are." "I'd need help with the initial capital," Tyler said. "I have some savings, but not enough." My parents exchanged a look. "How much are we talking?" my mom asked. $200,000 would get me through development and the first year of operations. I almost choked on my water. $200,000. 5 times what I'd needed, what they'd refused to give me. "Let us think about it," my dad said. 2 weeks later, Sunday dinner again. I was there out of obligation. Tyler was there with Bethany, excited, nervous. My dad pulled out a check. $200,000. Made out to Tyler. "We believe in you, son," my dad said. "We know you'll make this work." Tyler actually cried. Bethany hugged my parents. Everyone was celebrating. I sat there feeling hollow. After the celebration died down, I mentioned casually, "Hey, Hayes Landscaping is actually expanding. We're bidding on some major contracts. I could use some capital to buy better equipment, maybe hire a few more people." My dad barely looked at me. "That's different, Garrett. Tyler's building something innovative. You're just maintaining what you have." "I'm growing a business," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "It's not the same," my mom added. "Tyler's creating something new. Technology, innovation. That's the future." I excused myself and left early, claiming I had an early job the next morning. In my truck, I sat in their driveway for 10 minutes, shaking with anger and hurt. Tyler got $200,000 for an idea. I'd built an actual functioning business from nothing, and I wasn't worth investing in. I didn't cut them off completely like I had wanted to. I just stopped sharing anything real. When they asked about work, I said fine. When they invited me to things, I made excuses half the time. I pulled back, protected myself. Meanwhile, I poured everything into Hayes Landscaping. That hurt, that rejection, I turned it into fuel. I hired a business consultant to help me scale properly. I invested in marketing, got a real website, started bidding on bigger contracts. I created divisions: residential, commercial, design services. By the time I was 29, Hayes Landscaping had 30 employees and was doing $2 million in annual revenue. I bought a bigger house. I paid off my truck. I had actual savings. My parents didn't know any of this because I didn't tell them. At family dinners, when they asked about work, I said, staying busy. You know how it is. They didn't know I'd just won a contract to maintain all the landscaping for a major corporate office park. They didn't know I was being featured in a local business magazine. They didn't know I'd been asked to speak on a panel about small business growth. They were too busy asking Tyler about his startup, which, from what I could gather, was struggling. He'd burned through most of the $200,000 in the first 18 months. User acquisition was lower than projected. He'd had to let go of 2 of his 3 employees. But my parents never questioned him, never suggested maybe it wasn't working. They just kept encouraging him, telling him these things take time, offering to help with living expenses since he'd stopped paying himself a salary. When I was 30, I landed the biggest contract of my career. A luxury resort outside Fort Worth needed complete grounds management, ongoing maintenance, seasonal design changes. 5-year contract worth $3.5 million total. I celebrated with my team. We had a huge party at my house. Marcus, who'd been with me from almost the beginning, gave a toast about how proud he was to work for someone who built something real. I didn't tell my parents. What was the point? 6 months later, Tyler's startup officially failed. He'd run out of money, couldn't secure additional funding, and had to shut down. He moved back in with my parents at 28 years old, defeated. I heard about it through my mom's worried phone calls. He's taking it so hard, she said. He really believed in that company. That's tough, I offered, genuinely feeling bad for him. Despite everything, Tyler was still my brother. He's looking for work, but the job market is tight right now in tech, she continued. Your father's worried about him. I bit my tongue. Tyler had been handed $200,000, no risk to himself, and when it failed, he had a safety net. I'd gone into debt, risked everything, and succeeded without any of their support. 2 months after his startup folded, Tyler called me. We hadn't really talked one-on-one in years. Hey, Garrett, he said, sounding tired. Can we meet for coffee? We met at a place halfway between his parents' house and my office. He looked rough, like he hadn't been sleeping. I need to ask you something, he said after we sat down. I know things have been weird between us. I know Mom and Dad treat us differently. I'm not blind to it. I said nothing, waiting. My startup failed. I'm broke. I'm living at home. I need a job. He looked at me directly. I heard through someone that your landscaping business is doing really well. Better than I realized. I was wondering if you might have any openings. Anything. I'm not picky. I was stunned. You want to work for me? I know it's not tech. I know it's not what I'm trained for. But I need work, and you're my brother. He paused. I should have been a better brother to you. I should have said something when Mom and Dad refused to help you but gave me all that money. I should have acknowledged how hard you've worked. I'm sorry. The apology surprised me. It seemed genuine. I do have openings, I said slowly. But Tyler, you'd be starting at the bottom. I'm not putting you in management because you're my brother. You'd be working on a crew, learning the business from the ground up like everyone else. I understand, he said quickly. I just need a chance. The pay is $18 an hour to start. You'd be doing physical labor. It's hard work. I can do hard work, he insisted. I studied him. Part of me wanted to say no, to protect my business from potential family drama. But another part of me, the part that remembered us as kids before everything got complicated, wanted to help him. Okay, I said. You can start Monday. 7 a.m. Don't be late. Relief flooded his face. Thank you, Garrett. Really. Thank you. That night, my dad called me, furious. Tyler said you're making him work as a laborer? For $18 an hour? He has a college degree, Garrett. He ran a company. And now his company is closed, and he needs a job, I replied calmly. I'm giving him one. You're humiliating him. You're his brother. I'm treating him exactly how I treat every new employee. Fair wages, opportunity to learn and advance. What's humiliating about that? He's not meant for manual labor. He's educated. So education means he's above physical work? I asked. Is that what you're saying? Don't twist my words, my dad snapped. I'm saying you could give him a better position. Let him use his skills. What skills, Dad? His startup failed. He needs to learn something new, and I'm offering to teach him. If he proves himself, he can advance. Same as anyone else. After everything we've done for you. What exactly have you done for me? I interrupted, years of frustration finally breaking through. You refused to help me when I needed it. You've never once acknowledged what I've built. And now you're mad that I'm giving Tyler a fair opportunity? This conversation is over, my dad said and hung up. Tyler started work that Monday. I paired him with Marcus, who I knew would be patient but wouldn't coddle him. The first few days were rough for Tyler. He wasn't used to physical labor, wasn't used to being outside in the heat for 8 hours, wasn't used to being told what to do by someone without a degree. But he showed up on time. He didn't complain. He listened and learned. By the end of the first month, I could see him changing. He was getting stronger, more confident in the work. Marcus told me he was a good worker, asked questions, didn't act entitled. My parents, however, were furious with me. My mom left voicemails saying I was being cruel. My dad sent texts about how I was wasting Tyler's potential out of jealousy. I didn't respond. I just kept running my business. 3 months in, Tyler came to my office. Can we talk? What's up? I want to thank you, he said. This job, working with the crew, it's been good for me. I needed to be humbled. I needed to understand what real work feels like. I nodded, not sure where he was going with this. But I also think I could help the company in other ways, he continued. I've been noticing things. Our scheduling system is inefficient. Our client communication could be better. I have ideas for apps and systems that could streamline operations. I leaned back in my chair. Go on. He spent the next 30 minutes presenting ideas he'd been developing. Some were good. Really good. He'd been paying attention, learning the business, identifying actual problems and solutions. If I moved you into an operations role, developed some of these systems, what would you need? I asked. Time on a computer instead of in the field. Maybe one other person to help with implementation. And honestly, a salary that reflects the value I'd be adding. Write me a formal proposal, I said. Show me the potential ROI on these improvements. If it makes business sense, we'll talk. He delivered the proposal within a week. It was thorough, professional, realistic. I reviewed it with my business consultant, who said, this is solid. If he can execute even half of this, it would significantly improve efficiency. I promoted Tyler to operations manager with a salary of $55,000. Still less than he'd made in tech, but fair for the role and company size. He threw himself into the work. Within 6 months, he'd implemented 3 new systems that saved us time and money. Client satisfaction went up. Employee scheduling improved. He was actually earning his position. My parents finally came to see the business. My mom requested a tour, saying she wanted to understand what Garrett has built. I showed them everything. The office with 15 administrative staff. The equipment yard with over $800,000 in machinery. the design studio where we created landscaping plans. The break room where our 60 employees gathered. "This is much bigger than I realized," my mom said, looking genuinely surprised. My dad was quiet, taking it all in. "We're doing about $3 million in annual revenue now," I said. "We have contracts with major commercial properties, high-end residential clients, and we're expanding into landscape design and installation." "Tyler mentioned he's working here," my dad said carefully. "He is. He's doing good work. He's created systems that have improved our efficiency significantly." "What's he making?" my dad asked. "That's between me and Tyler." "He could be making 6 figures in tech," my dad pressed. "But he's not in tech anymore," I said. "He's here, he's learning, he's growing. He seems happy. Isn't that what matters?" My mom touched my dad's arm. "Robert, Garrett has built something impressive here. We should be proud of him." My dad looked at me for a long moment. "I owe you an apology." "Several, actually." I waited. "I was wrong about your potential. I was wrong to refuse to help you when you asked. I was wrong to dismiss this business as just mowing lawns." He gestured around the office. "This is a real company. You did this yourself, and I should have supported you from the beginning." The apology didn't erase years of hurt, but it was something. "And I was wrong about Tyler working here," he continued. "You're treating him fairly. Better than fairly. You're teaching him things he needed to learn. He's a good worker," I said. "He just needed a chance to prove it." Over the next year, things slowly improved with my parents. They started asking real questions about the business. They came to company events. They finally saw me for what I'd accomplished rather than what I'd failed to be in their original vision. Tyler continued to thrive. I promoted him to Director of Operations with a salary of $75,000. He'd earned it through actual results, not nepotism. Last month, we landed our biggest contract yet. A massive mixed-use development needed full landscaping services, ongoing maintenance, and seasonal design changes. 7-year contract worth $8 million total. Hayes Landscaping is now worth, according to a recent valuation for potential expansion funding, $4.2 million. At Sunday dinner last week, my dad asked, "How's business?" "Good," I said. "Really good. We just signed a major contract." "I'm proud of you, son," he said. And this time, I believed him. Tyler, sitting across from me, raised his glass. "To my brother, who gave me a job when I had nothing, and taught me what real success looks like." My parents gave Tyler $200,000 for a dream. They told me to figure it out on my own. I figured it out. And in doing so, I built something neither they nor I imagined I could. Sometimes the best thing people can do for you is refuse to help you, because it forces you to find out what you're really capable of. Have you ever had to prove yourself to people who didn't believe in you? Drop your story in the comments. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories about building success when nobody thinks you can. Share this with someone who needs to hear that being underestimated can be the greatest motivation. Thanks for watching, and remember, the people who doubt you today might be the ones asking for opportunities tomorrow. Build something so undeniable they have no choice but to see you.